So this is my first attempt. This is a few days before I made the video. Thought it was only right to come down and have a little look at it. And this is probably the true test of some new junction or some roadworks that have changed layout. It's how you deal with it first time. So let's have a little look. I've got no idea how this is laid out and what it's all about, so let's go and have a look. I used to work in Saint Helens teaching when I first started the job, and this used to be a flat-sided roundabout. It was quite straightforward, to be honest. We used to use it all the time. It was sort of like a little cut through as well from different areas. The test centre isn't too far away from here either, so it's probably going to be something that's going to be used on driving tests, but that's really what I'm talking about here. This is just how this junction now seems. Now I am going to take what used to be the second exit at the roundabout. It used to come on and then there was a sharp left and then one a bit further down just along the flat sides. So I'm going to try and take that one and see how we go with it, see how easy it is to negotiate where I want to go. So bus lane, is that outside of operation? I think it's in operation, so I'm going to wait and go into it after, which is what you should do. People will often just do as the other vehicles did there. Let's have a little look at it from here. That's the okay, all right, that's the road that leads out towards the back end of the M62. Looks as though it's just a straight road through now. Don't know, we'll have a little look at it as we go on. Got to be careful if people wish to come back in here because of the bus lane. So that's super straightforward. There are a lot of markings on the junction, so it's just a normal crossroad for the vehicles. That's actually dead simple. Well, let's turn around and go and have a little look at it and see what it's like for pedestrians and cyclists, which is what it's been redesigned for. The cycle lanes have been here for a while, to be honest. This, look at the sides, these bollards are quite protective of the cycle lane, but looking at it, it doesn't then leave cyclists much room for manoeuvre. The jury's out on these bollards for me, but concentrating on now as we come up to it, just what it's like for cyclists and pedestrians. I will get out, not today, but I will get out and have a little walk through this junction myself at some point. So when we turn left, we can see obviously green areas are for the bikes, which is good. It looks as though the other areas, the salmony coloured areas, are for pedestrians by the looks of it. Looks pretty straightforward, to be honest. It's just a normal crossroads. There's filter lanes here to this side. Traffic's flowing quite nicely, not much is waiting. It's 10:30 in the morning, and traffic isn't going to be massive, but the lights are all nice and clear. Let's have a little look. Cyclists get to flow all the way around by the looks of it, which is good. Okay, easy enough. So it's not a couple of days later since I first did the Cyclops Junction out in Saint Helens. It's a few months. Quite soon after, I got rid of the Golf, and without the Golf I didn't have a bike rack. The Cyclops Junction is about 13 miles or so. Not that I'm saying I couldn't rid out there, I could have done, especially with the electrical assistance, but things have just literally got in the way. So we are actually a few days before Christmas. I've just finished work and we're on a Saturday. Is it the 23rd? Yes, it is. Saturday the 23rd. I got my tow bar fitted to the Focus last week, and now obviously we've got use of the bike rack again, so I'm taking a little trip out to the Cyclops Junction today. We've driven around it obviously, but today we're going to bike around it and see actually how it works. I know it's not super complicated, but I've got a little thought that cyclists aren't necessarily going to be massively at benefit from this type of junction. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I think we will go and see whether we can leave this somewhere safe in this car park. This is another little problem that you can have with a bike rack on the back, is that where are you going to park? How am I going to go about doing this? Well, for me, I think the best option would be for me to leave it as far away from people clipping me as possible. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm obviously going to reverse and utilise the space at the back. Now, it's not always going to be this straightforward, but honestly, it can be a little bit of awkwardness. Okay, this is something that I haven't been able to get fixed yet with the car. It's not been able to be fully coded yet. When you do select reverse, as you found out, it thinks you're really close to stuff. So you just have to press a button for now, but that will be coded in the near future. Yeah, I think we're good, and we're nicely on the pavement at the back. Let's get the bike out. Okay, all sorted. Cameras are all running and all going. Let's get down there and go and have a little look. Now, what I'm going to do first is just have a little bike. Have I locked my car? Yes, I have. I'm going to have a little bike from a couple of directions, but I'm trying to test if cyclists are going to benefit from all the cost, time, effort and money obviously of doing this junction, because I've got my doubts whether or not cyclists are just going to bin bag the whole thing. Go on then, buddy. Fellow Focus ST. Okay, yeah, I've got my doubts whether or not cyclists are going to benefit from this junction. I think most cyclists, what they're going to do is just bin bag it, not have to, or well, not wait and just carry on through. So personally, I think that just increases conflict between two sets of road users trying to use the same space. And I'm not sure how many cyclists would be actually coming down this way just to use this junction. This is another thing. This section that I've just driven past, I've already said about these bollards. I'm not a great lover of them. Cyclists, as you can see, have to deal with all the rubbish that's in these cycle areas. Now, it's all right for me. I've got a mountain bike. I've got pretty tough tyres, although they're not puncture proof. I've got pretty tough tyres and they should be able to deal with most of this, but I don't think these cycle areas
are particularly good. If cyclists then choose not to use them, that just causes absolute aggro. For me, I wouldn't have these. In any case, that's another subject for another day. We're going to have a little look at this. Like I said, the first time, I'm just going to go straight over, and I'm going to have to deal with this van first of all. No, they shouldn't park in the cycle areas, but honestly, just deal with it. Just check, move around safely, keep outside the door zone, check and come back. It's not a big deal. Just because you're mildly inconvenienced, honestly, there's bigger problems on our roads than that, so just deal with it. So here, it's good because I can skip through the lights here. I have to make sure there's no other cyclists coming, make sure there's no pedestrians, because pedestrians would have the priority there. Now, what I'm going to do is just go up to this line and make sure I don't block it for any pedestrians as well. I wonder how this works. Does it just time it when it's my turn and let me go? Potentially. So we've got the lights that side and obviously that side, if you can see with my camera. Hopefully you can. And all I'm going to do is just wait for my light. Now, if you think if I'd used the main road and just waited in traffic, I would have been gone. I would have been down there somewhere. And this is my sort of point with junctions like this, that all they're really doing is just creating an extra area where it's going to encourage maybe cyclists just to bin bag this. This for me is utterly pointless. It's ridiculous. So how long have I waited now? My lights are still on red. I'd be halfway home. No, not from here, but you get the point. So honestly, my initial impressions before I've even ridden it, for me, they're absolutely right. It would be illegal for me to go through these reds. I only found this out, to be honest. I didn't realise. Probably is going to be the same, I'm assuming, because it's like a two-can crossing where cyclists can ride across, so it's going to be the same as a two-can crossing. But I did a recent video on the Tiger or parallel crossing down the south end of Liverpool, and I rode through two lights like this just across the road. So when am I going to go, by the way? They're still on red. Do I just sit here and wait? When is it my turn? So yeah, if it did go through these, it would, as far as I think, be illegal. There we go. At last we got some lights. So what benefit is that for cyclists? Yeah, it's lovely. It keeps me out of the way of the traffic here, but like I said, the wait, all it's going to do is just encourage people just to go through, and then there's a conflict anyway. Pointless. Next thing. Where's my cycle lane gone? Disappeared. So this is the problem with it for me, that people are encouraged to get on a bike just because they've spent hundreds of thousands of pounds. I don't exactly know how much on that Cyclops Junction, but they've spent so much money on that particular junction, and then the cycle lanes have just disappeared here. I've got to be back on the road. So if I'd have just kept on the road anyway, through that junction, which does seem nicely managed, it seems staggered quite well, honestly, it would have been perfectly safe. Let's go round to a different direction and see whether anything's different from a different side. I don't think it's going to be. So if I turn right, it's going to head us from a different side. I think you've got the idea of what this junction is all about. It's called the Cyclops because obviously it's like an eye and you can cycle all the way around. I think cycle and Cyclops has got something to do with it as well. But like I said, from first impressions, I would have just preferred to just ride on the road. I'm quite happy to mix it with the traffic, show your awareness, be seen, understand if there's a conflict between two road users using the same space. You've got to do something about it, even if you've got priority and someone hasn't seen you, or someone's just going to go anyway. So honestly, no issue. Extra arm signal. Let's see how the cycle areas are approaching from this direction. Don't know the name of the road. I do know where I am. I started teaching in Saint Helens. I think I said that on my initial drive when I was in the Gulf. Thank you. That driver was quite nice to me there. So let's have a little look about the cycle areas. That's not brilliant. Is that even a cycle area? I think it's probably just a parking area. I was riding in there. So this is, like we said, to encourage people to get on the bike, use the bike and stop using the car. And it's designed to segregate different road users. So honestly, there's less conflict, but I think by my initial findings, that's probably not the case. I'm a big believer of educating riders and drivers to work with each other. You cannot have, thank you buddy, thank you, you cannot have segregated cycle areas every single portion of your journey. So you have to have some skill to be able to deal with situations. Think about what I said before about the cycle areas as well. It's awful. If you hit that log, it's a bit over exaggeration, but if you hit that tree stump, no, it's even worse. If you hit that section of branch, that's better. If you're on a road bike, honestly, you'd be off. This is awful. Why the hell do they even bother with cycle areas like this? Stupid, in my opinion. What's your thoughts? So we're coming up to the Cyclops again. I'm going to go ahead. Again, there's more people in the cycle area. That's okay, just deal with them. But again, I'm going to go ahead. I wouldn't have been able to get through with those cars, that's fine, but I'm going to have a little look here. Am I in for a long wait again? Well, let's have a little think. If I'd have waited in that lane, I'm going to see when those lights would have gone compared to these cycle lights. I know it's not all about getting there in the shortest time. It's not about that, but this is the reasoning why I think this is utterly pointless, because people will just bin bag it and just go to anyway. How many cyclists are gonna just go through? I'm gonna see what this guy does. He's waiting as well. It's nice to see a cyclist, to be honest. So this traffic to my right, if I'd have just waited in that line of traffic, I would have been away and gone again. It's interesting, isn't it? It's nice to see the guy behind, like I said, waiting. I'm not sure whether he's just waiting for me because I've stopped. He's decided to stop. Don't know. Might very well be the case. But it looks as though the cyclists just have a turn, just like all the different motorists do, which I understand. We can't just think, well, cyclists have got the ultimate right way and they can just go as and when. That guy over there nearly just came off. I do think that these areas, sometimes the green areas that I'm sat on can be a little bit slippy, not because the green, but the extra layer over the top I find to be a little bit slippier. So here we go, still waiting. Do they run off these sensors up at the top? Possibly. That's the second time that those vehicles have gone through. I'm doing what I should do, I'm waiting behind the line. Is that sensor set a little low? Let's go a little bit further forward, so we'll put my wheel over the line now. So for me, I think you understand what I'm saying. This is a pretty big fail altogether already. I am going to wait here until these lights change. Are they going to change now? Is it going to be our turn? Nope. Is it on those sensors? How many cyclists would have waited like I've waited? Here we go at last. So the guy behind did the same thing. So I'm going to go up this way this time. I think this is a cycle area, is it? No. Am I on the pavement? I think I'm on the pavement. Okay, so we'll go down here. We'll follow this guy. I want to head a little bit further down. Yeah, it does cut through. That's quite nice. No problems. So that's a pretty good little route through. No issues with that. So I'm going to get a little bit further down. Let's see what goes on here. He's just gone on the pavement. And again, I have to wait for these lights. Let's have a little look to see how long I'm going to have to wait, and then I'm going to retrace my routes again.
Unfortunately, I waited for another 4 minutes and through numerous cycles for the vehicles and none for me. Would this discourage you from using this junction?
Is it? No, it's traffic from behind again. You know what? Fed up with this. Turning round. Going back home. And I think that really sums it up. I'm not even going to bother going through with the traffic because I think it's pretty obvious that it would be quicker if I just mixed it with the cars in the lane. It absolutely would. So I've seen one cyclist while I've been here. It's Cyclops as well. It's one way, so let's do it properly. Let's go and have another wait for 15 minutes. You got to wave to these sensors. So my assessment of it is, I think you've already sussed out what my assessment is. It's absolutely awful. It's a waste of time and money put into this. It's just a big PR stunt for me. Does it do much to actually improve road safety? It might do compared to what the roundabout was like before, but effectively cyclists and pedestrians have still got to do the same sort of thing. They've got to cross this section of road, cross that section of road, and then get to the other if they wanted to go over that far side. So again, sat here waiting. Lights are still on red. So no, I don't think it's a good idea. Driving through, it's fine. It's just a normal crossroads effectively. It's quite nicely staggered. Different sections of the crossroad go at different times, which is safe. Here we go, finally, we get going. And it looks as though I can go through this section as well. Nice, just making sure there's no conflict. So yeah, it's pretty good on those terms. But I think it's an absolute waste. A lot of people have messaged me about it, saying there's been problems. I don't know what problems have been. Was an instructor who I know who said about there's been a couple of problems on driving tests with it. I can't see honestly how, because it's actually not that complicated to drive through. These areas in the middle, they're not massive, so maybe if people pile into the areas that they're going to be doing the right turn, those in the middle over there, they might then not be able to clear before a different section starts going, or even one of the cycle areas starts going. But again, just think of the time it's taken me to get from over there to here, and I'm still not coming through. It's funny, isn't it? Not going to come back here anytime soon either, but that's probably just about it. What's your thoughts on that? How do you stand with cycling infrastructure compared to the ability of cyclists of whatever age to be able to deal with motorists, and motorists of, I was going to say all ability, but that is the issue. I was going to make a point that motorists have to do better with cyclists, much better, because cyclists using the road are the most vulnerable. Pedestrians, I'm excluding them because most of the time the pedestrians are on the pavement. I think you understand where I'm coming from. But for me, education's always going to win. This country is not designed well enough from the beginning to accommodate cyclists. The Dutch have been doing it for many years, and I'm yet to go over there and have a look at their cycle infrastructure. I will do soon though, but for me, that's an absolute wah. Yeah, now we have to put up with dog poo splattered all over me back and me cameras. Lovely. Keep safe everyone. I'll see you soon.